believing God that today will even be better. We thank God for all the invited guests, especially the guests of honor that honored us yesterday. We thank them for coming. We also thank them for giving us the benefits of signing our MOU, PVAC SPAN MOU. We want to ask God that He make this signing of MOU the beginning of signing of other various MOU that will increase and accelerate the innovation and standard we are talking about for Nigeria science and industrial development. We commit God to take charge of all the activities on the program for today, so that today also shall be a success story. And going forward, success shall also be the standard for SPAN going from now on. In the name of our God Almighty, I say this prayer. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frederick. Can we give him a round of applause? Very, very inspiring prayers. Can we take our seats? Once again, it's the day 2 of SPAN Innovate 2025, and this is our conference session. Today we'll be having 2 sessions, a special presentation from TechFund, and thereafter we'll go into our panel discussion and allow us to go back to the exhibition hall. Now, to also give us a welcome speech is our own president, sorry, can we just proceed, please? I'd just like to let us know that this is day 2. National anthem is taken at the opening ceremony, and so when we continue with day 2, we just proceed without taking the national anthem. Is that cool? Right. So it's day 2 once again. Sorry for that little break. It's day 2, and to give us our opening remark is our own president, the president of the Science Products Association of Nigeria, our own very amiable Dr. Kate Isa, to give us an opening remark. Please, moderating, can we give a round of applause, please? A round of applause, please. Just an opening remark for this.
This man, I really do. Every time we do SPAN Innovate, you must be the manager, the event manager. You are amazing. You're really good. This year's rocks. Can we all just give a clap out to this year? You know what's most impressive about 2 days is very stubborn. He won't move. Anything you say, he do what he wants to do. And don't we like it when people have a mind of their own? And when they are professionals, they want you to allow them to do what they're good at. Because you don't really know it. I sent someone to tell him, let's do national anthem. Because we have a government official here, and we must be seen as compliant. But based on his superior knowledge of how these things should be done, he says it's day 2. National anthem was sang yesterday. So, sir, I'll be singing it in my mind, because we have to show that we are respecting the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to welcome everyone. I want to thank you. I didn't know this hall can be this full today. I was a bit concerned, but today you pulled all the stops and you're making it happen. I want to thank, it's not a vote of thanks, but I must recognize the Vice President and his team, Femi Ebube, the people who worked to put this show together. It's a good beginning. Femi says a seed. It's taking root, it's germinating, it will grow. When you leave here, tell about what you're seeing here. and we know that it will only go bigger and greater with time. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. That's why you're here. Thank you for believing in science. Without science, nothing good can be accomplished. We all agree that science is the foundation, the bedrock, the birthplace of advancement, of development, of sustainable development. Innovate, innovation. We have a lot of technical sessions. We have a keynote from TED Fund. This is not my job to do. I think it's still someone else's. But I just want to underscore the relevance and the importance of today. Alhaji Bakari, I was listening to the town hall that was put out by TED Fund, in which all the leading, the National Assembly, the CEOs of MDAs were there. And I heard your colleague, an architect, recount what you guys are doing. I didn't know that. How he went to the president and made a case for more support to rebuild, in building new hostels, to renovate the old ones, to do, I think, a scholarship for students, to help the students. So much is getting done at TED Fund. And I want to say personally, I have seen the passion, the devotion, the determination, the excellence, the spirit of excellence evident in this dispensation of TED Fund. TED Fund is not a new institution, but all of a sudden there's a team there that want things done right. There's a team that's looking for excellence. There's a team for whom some standard is not okay. I have to share this experience. I went to a university in Niger State. It's Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State. Hmm? Yeah. Careful. Nasarawa State. I went to a university there. In the institute, we went to look at their lab because they had come, they saw our lab, the VC, the registrar, many people. They came, they wouldn't go. They were there till very late, 11 hours in the lab, 11 p.m. The VC was so excited. One of them had come and went and brought the decision makers, the officials of the university. And they said they wanted us to replicate our lab in their institution. And we signed an MOU with them partnership. So I went to see things for myself. And I went into what they called lab. And I saw big signs of TED Fund. And the thing looked like a cattle shed where you feed animals. And it wasn't done right. I wanted to take a photo. I brought out my camera. And he said, no. I said, how can TED Fund put their signage on a thing like this? This is not a science lab. It's not right. I told you guys. The next time we went there, they had changed it at their cost. But TED Fund was doing things and it wasn't quality. But now there is a team in TED Fund, there's a group in TED Fund, there's a management in TED Fund that is insisting on quality, that is insisting on value to Nigerians. Sir, and I have worked closely with you, sir. And you're an amazing, amazing, amazing person. I'm motivated. Personally, this is personal now. The things you're doing to empower research and development in the universities is unprecedented. I just thank you, sir, for agreeing to see us in your office during our advocacy. I thank you, sir, for saying yes to everything we asked and for adding a whole lot more. I know that we're going to have a signing ceremony when the MOU is ready to do with you. And some questions were asked yesterday, you have the answers for them. You're doing amazing. You're going to hear incredible things that TED Fund is doing in the educational institution. And we know education is the priority, is the primary thing. Without education, we can't do anything. So I don't know why they gave me the mic, but I welcome everyone today too. and I thank you for coming. And when we do day 1 next year and day 2, I expect to see you all. It may not be in this hall because we're going to need a much bigger space. And before I drop the mic, if you're an operator in the science, laboratory, technology space, and you're not a member of SPAN, run and register and become a member, a paying member. All our MOUs are for paying members. The companies have asked that we submit the names of SPAN members. You will submit your name if you're not current. So register, be part of this moving supersonic train, because we're taking this nation, ready or not, straight to the future where we take care of all our needs. Welcome to day 2 of SPAN Innovate 2025.
Mistake, asking them to come talk. Can we give our amiable president another very, very warm round of applause? Thank you, madam, and thank you. A clarion call is gone out. If you want to benefit from all the logistics that is coming to SPAN, then go red. And you need to come with supersonic speed to join with us. Once again, thank you, madam. Can we give another request? Somebody request one of our very, very, very important personality, very high value. That's all. Everybody say that's all. That's all. That's what I'm saying. You know? And he has the that's all of everything. Make him welcome, so all the monies will be released. Make him welcome.
Yesterday was truly an inspiring start. A day filled with insight, passion, and purpose. We began with a heartfelt welcome address from the president of SPAN, Dr. Ketisa, who reminded us why our collective commitment to innovation and scientific excellence remains vital to national development. Our guest of honor, the Senior Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Basic and Secondary Education, Dr. Okweyemi Eniola, highlighted the state's ongoing investment in science infrastructure, a powerful signal that government and industry must continue to work hand in hand to strengthen the foundation of knowledge. We also heard from Chief Kayode Bello, representing the General Manager of LASEPA, that's the Environmental Protection Agency of Lagos State, Dr. Babatunde Ajayi, who shared the agency's impressive strides in advancing scientific infrastructure and environmental standards across Lagos State. The high point of the day was undoubtedly the keynote address delivered by Dr. Abdul Mukhtar, the National Coordinator of PAYBACK, on ensuring quality in pharmaceutical value chain. His presentation underscored the critical link between quality assurance, innovation, and public health, beautifully sealed by the landmark PAYBACK SPAN Memorandum of Understanding, signed right here at this event. We also had stimulating panel session and panel discussion on staying ahead of the curve in scientific product delivery in Nigeria. A reminder that excellence is not a destination, but a continuous journey. Highlighting the fact that all key players must strive to stay ahead of the curve in the scientific products delivery. The suppliers, the industries, while expecting maximum support from the regulators. It must be a collaboration. Plus our technical sessions and other industry experts and regulators. And the presentation highlights included the basics of laboratory design, equipment, and operation by Chief Uzomba Nwaje. The presentation on good laboratory practice by Mrs. Blessing Okoli. Highlights on some certification, Mrs. Chidema Ewuzo, and the molecular biology teaching by Professor Tafeng using the innovation booth. Indeed, the one sets the stage with knowledge, collaboration, and vision. And as we step into day 2, the energy continues with more thought-provoking sessions, interactive discussions, and forward-looking ideas that will keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in science and innovation in Nigeria. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to the SPAN Innovate 2025 Day 2, where science meets possibility and innovation drives progress. Thank you.
Thank you. We were downstairs most of the time, but he just captured everything. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's give him another round of applause. I'd like to truly apologize. Sir, I'm almost sure that you're very proud of what your long term, that winners should not what? Quit. Quitters, they never win. Keep at it. Just keep at it. Just keep at it. And you will get there. I'm wasting much time. I'd like to also recognize the presence of Mr. Emmanuel Fashaba, who is representing the Coordinator State's Office of Standard Organization of Nigeria, Dr. Romanus Isife. Can we just welcome there's a speech, the statements, and the address from TED Fund. It's noteworthy that this association has thought it right to also partner Salihu Gire Bakari. Just before he comes up, Dr. Salihu Gire Bakari, who's the Director of Research and Development Centers of Excellence, will be speaking on the topic, building robust quality infrastructure for restoring the light. It's not helping us. He'll be speaking on building robust quality infrastructure for research, development, and innovation in African educational institutions. I believe with the role that our director plays in TED Fund is very, very qualified. A very, very, very robust quality infrastructure for research and development in institutions, not just in Nigeria, in Africa on a larger scale. Ladies and gentlemen,
I would like to start by an apology from the Executive Secretary Architect, Sonny Ejono, whom actually had wanted to be here together with me. And he's unable to be here because as I was speaking, he was directed himself by the minister to represent him in Jos. So as I was coming to Lagos this morning, he was also on his way to Jos. And that was why he's not here personally. I also want to seize the opportunity to once again thank Dr. Keitisa in particular and the members of the executive for paying a courtesy visit on the executive secretary that I was privileged to receive on behalf of the TED Fund. After you came to TED Fund, I briefed the ES, and when you saw your letter of requests, stroke demands, he saw that it was Kate that signed it. He said, oh, it's Dr. Kate herself that signed it. This must be a very, very important association. And that tells you how, it tells you that the ES holds you in very high esteem and high regard. So really he was quick to say that all your requests should be granted. And I am also very pleased that I am here because when I saw that SPAN is having a conference here in Lagos, and I also saw the theme of the conference. First and foremost, I'm thrilled by the fact that you are interested not only in what you do, but you are actually interested in using what you do for the development of this country. You are also interested not only in what you do, but in seeing that Nigeria has transited from where we are today to a knowledge economy. And this is truly where I feel partnership between SPAN and TEDFund will blossom. Because Nigeria, TEDFund is interested, is eager to ensure that Nigeria has transited, has transformed into a knowledge economy. An economy that is sustainable. An economy that everybody who has a brain, and I believe everybody has a brain, that will contribute to its development and sustainability. An economy that does not rely on just natural resources, as it were, because we know that what you know is much more important than what you have. And that's why the developed world and other countries in the world are busy exploiting what you have, using their knowledge, and then they are getting richer than those who have the resources. Because if you just rely on resources that you've got without making any value addition to it, without translating it into wealth, then you actually more or less, I don't know how to call that economy, but we will end up being stagnant, and this is why we are today in Nigeria. So I'm really very proud of SPAN. I'm very proud of what you do, and I believe that for Nigeria to move forward, SPAN, what you do, what you stand for, what you believe in, are those things, critical factors that will move Nigeria forward. The address by the ES, I think since it is prepared by him, I will also try to read through, and I will see that you are magnanimous enough to give me a lot of time to speak. I was wondering, I thought 10 minutes would be fine, but you are giving me up to 40 minutes by your schedule. So we'll try as much as possible to take only the most useful part of your time, and then we free the other part of it for discussions. Now I read the ES speech. Let me begin by extending my heartfelt congratulations to the Scientific Association of Nigeria SPAN for organizing this timely SPAN Innovate 2025 Scientific Conference and Exhibition, and for inviting me as a special guest of honor. This event provides a vital platform for key stakeholders across the innovation ecosystem, particularly academia, industry, government, and the private sector, to converge, extend ideas, and forge partnerships that will drive national development. It is indeed great privilege to address. Sorry, I think I have a problem with the light here as well, but I struggle to. Let me also be innovative. It is indeed a great privilege to address this distinguished audience on a topic that speaks directly to the heart of our collective aspirations for a prosperous and knowledge-driven Africa. The need for robust quality infrastructure to drive effective research, development, and innovation in our education institutions is compelling for the growth of our continent. In an era where innovation serves as the backbone of economic competitiveness and global innovation and global relevance, gatherings such as this are essential for charting a clear course toward a more knowledge-driven and technology-enabled Nigeria. This Innovate 2025 highlights not only the ingenuity and creativity of our scientific community, but also reinforces the importance of collaboration, transforming research outcomes into tangible solutions that address the nation's most pressing challenges. Thus, I am delighted to commend SPAN for its foresight and resolve to foster innovation, research excellence, and capacity building by bringing together thought leaders, innovators, researchers, and policy makers under one roof. You have created a unique opportunity for aligning our collective efforts towards advancing Nigeria's innovation landscape and accelerating the nation's journey towards sustainable development and global competitiveness. Today, Africa stands at a critical juncture in the trajectory of its development. You will agree with me that across the continent, our higher education and research institutions are brimming with young, brilliant minds, full of creative energy and potential. Yet, many of these ideas fail to crystallize due to systematic barriers and challenges, ranging from inadequate research infrastructure, fragmented innovation systems, and weak quality assurance mechanisms. For Africa to compete in the global knowledge economy, our educational institutions must accelerate beyond generating new knowledge to translating the knowledge into tangible innovations that solve real social and societal problems. This cannot be realized without a robust, functional, and quality assurance research and innovation infrastructure. Quality infrastructure refers to the system of methodology, standards, testing, accreditation, and quality assurance that underpins all aspects of production, research, and innovation. In the context of education and research, it ensures that our laboratories, equipment, and research outputs meet global benchmarks of reliability, comparability, and trustworthiness. Without this foundation, research findings will lack credibility and reproducibility, and innovations will fail to meet market and regulatory standards, especially when it comes to commercialization. Also, partnerships with industry and international collaborators will be difficult to establish and sustain. Quality infrastructure is therefore not a luxury, but a necessity for any nation that seeks to harness research for industrial development, economic growth, and societal well-being. The challenges and opportunities. While significant progress has been made, many African universities and research centers continue to face persistent challenges, which include: one, outdated laboratory facilities and poor maintenance culture. I'm sure this is very key in our university systems in Nigeria. Most of our laboratories, if any, I don't know of any that is ISO certificated. I don't know about laboratories that today, in fact, you can even hardly publish in high impact factor journals to carry out some research in our laboratories nowadays, because you are already out of date. Your data, your material, whatever you use is out of date. Limited access to specialized equipment and digital research tools. Inadequate funding mechanisms for R&D and innovation ecosystems. Weak linkages between academia, industry, and government, and I think this is very, very apt, especially within the Nigerian context. The industries are on their own, the academia is on their own, the government is there making policies on its own. The government carries its own policies, does its own policies without recourse to what is on ground. The universities teach without recourse to what is happening in the industries, without even knowing what the industries need. And then the industries are on their own, not even having faith in what is happening from the university system. Therefore, they have their own R&D system distinct from what is happening from the universities. So each of those ecosystems are working and if you like, across purposes. Brain drain and in the investment in research talent development and fragmented national quality infrastructure systems, often disconnected from academic research. These are some of the key challenges that how research and innovation are conceived, funded, and implemented within our educational institutions. By strategically embracing digital information, African nations can leverage emerging technologies such as AI, data analytics, virtual laboratories, and high-performance computing to enhance research efficiency, promote open science, and foster greater inclusion across borders. Furthermore, regional collaboration offers a powerful avenue for pooling resources, sharing infrastructure, and harmonizing standards for quality research and innovation. Through platforms such as the African Union Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy, STISA 2024, and the Pan-African Quality Infrastructure Initiatives, countries can jointly invest in regional research hubs, digital repositories, and shared laboratories that transcend national limitations and enable collective progress. Actually, even within our own system, within the Nigerian system, we have this serious problem of, we carried out a science, let me say, research infrastructure survey 4 years ago in Nigeria. There was one university that had 180 laboratories, 180 labs. None was of any standard. Each department has its own standard, its own laboratory. Even within the department, units have their own laboratories. And this department do not even exchange, they don't even share. This unit will not be allowed to use the other units. You know, so you have duplication of equipment, and then you also find that in that same university, there are some equipment or laboratory requirements that are not there at all in all the laboratories, whereas you have something that is common denominator, all of them have. So there's redundancy, there's duplication of effort, because they don't share. They don't even want to know, even from within faculty. They don't even know what this department has, what the other doesn't. So, and what this paper is advocating is that even within regional level, within African context, there should be. If you go to US, it's not every laboratory in the US that has everything. They share, because it's very expensive to maintain, to establish. You know, you can have one good laboratory that can serve the whole of Southwest, no doubt about it, because it's very, very expensive. You know, but in this country and in Africa generally, we have this culture of territory. Everybody wants to keep their own territory. It's my own. So you dare not come there. A professor has his own laboratory. Another professor cannot use it. So everybody has a mini laboratory. And at the end of the day, none of the laboratories is a laboratory. Furthermore, the promotion of public-private partnerships that link academia and industry and government is of utmost importance. Such collaborations can unlock new funding streams, facilitate technology transfer, and ensure that research outputs are demand-driven and commercially viable. By building these synergies, African nations can move from fragmented research efforts to a coordinated, impact-oriented innovation ecosystems. The TED Fund perspectives. As you are aware, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund is an intervention agency established by the federal government to provide supplementary support to all levels of public tertiary institutions with the core objectives of using funding alongside project management for the rehabilitation, restoration, and consolidation of tertiary education in Nigeria. More specifically, TED Fund resources are disbursed for the general improvement of education in federal and state tertiary education institutions for the provision or maintenance of A, essential physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, B, instructional materials and equipment, C, research and publications, D, academic staff training and development, and E, in any other need which is critical and essential for the improvement and maintenance of standards in the higher educational institutions. As an intervention agency, TechFund firmly believes that no nation can rise above the quality of its education and research system. In today's fast evolving world, nations that have achieved technological and economic advancements have done so by building strong, resilient, and well-coordinated research and innovation infrastructures. Thus, it is acknowledged that the incentives for investing in research and development are numerous, ranging from fostering innovation and technological advancement to improving industrial competitiveness and national prosperity. Therefore, maintaining and expanding Nigeria's R&D infrastructure is not only essential, but strategic for achieving sustainable economic growth. A robust R&D ecosystem enables the generation of new knowledge, the development of locally relevant technologies, and the strengthening of innovation capacity across the key sectors, such as agriculture, manufacturing, health, and energy, etc., etc. It will interest you to know that the TechFund's interventions have evolved beyond conventional support for teaching and learning. We are now strategically focused on institutionalizing research, development, and innovation as key drivers of national growth and competitiveness. By investing in modern laboratories, research centers, and innovation hubs, as well as supporting collaboration between academia, industry, and government, Nigeria can enhance its productivity levels and reduce dependence on imported technologies. In the same vein, this approach will also facilitate the commercialization of research outputs, promote entrepreneurship, and create high-value jobs, ultimately prioritizing R&D infrastructure development will accelerate Nigeria's transition towards a knowledge-based economy, driven by ideas, creativity, and technological innovation rather than resource extraction, thereby positioning the nation for global competitiveness. Accordingly, and in line with the mandate, the fund has committed to promoting and supporting the institutionalization of research and development in public tertiary institutions through innovative best practices, thereby creating a vibrant platform for researchers to patent and develop their findings as a progressive and sustainable driver of economic growth. Specifically, the fund has devised several strategies to achieve its R&D goals, which include: 1, to enhance research capacity and capability in tertiary education institutions; 2, promote market-driven research that has national impact and promote multidisciplinary research that will increase stakeholders' engagement in national, regional, and continental developmental matters; C, provide general guidelines for institutional and national research funds utilization; D, support research industry linkages and promote commercialization of viable research and development results and patents; E, promote partnerships between the fund, tertiary education institutions, and industries as it relates to the research works by putting in place the appropriate mechanisms for the adoption and utilization of research findings; F, collect, analyze, and support the development and commercialization of research findings relevant to national needs and interests with the industry on the uptake of research outcomes; G. Monitor and evaluate the adoption of and implementation of research findings by both local and multinational corporations. H. Ensure the institutionalization of research and development in tertiary institutions. I. Create an enabling environment for uptake of research findings. And finally, promote and support the emergence and development of national, regional, and continental centers of excellence in Nigerian public tertiary education institutions to serve as regional and international reference points. To achieve this, the fund has undertaken deliberate steps to build and sustain a robust research, development, and innovation ecosystem by initiating a range of programs and projects, which include 1. Upgrade of equipment in laboratories and workshops of beneficial institutions. As part of its efforts towards improving and expanding Nigeria's R&D infrastructure and facilities to raise the level of productivity and move the country to a knowledge-based economy, the fund is sponsoring the upgrade of the equipment in workshops and laboratories for 48 beneficial institutions under the 2024 interventions and another 48 institutions under the 2025 intervention. The intervention is targeted at enhancing the capacity of public tertiary institutions to deliver on their mandate. Actually, this is one of the results of our condition survey that we carried out. And we found out that all our universities, all our polytechnics, all our colleges of education technical, none had, and I repeat, none had adequate, up-to-date laboratory or workshop. And this is a serious problem if we are really interested in catapulting Nigeria into a knowledge-driven society. So we, effective from last year, we have set aside monies for upgrading of all the workshops in universities and polytechnics in particular. Last year we funded 48. This year we are funding 48. Next year we'll fund 48 until we are through. And we should focus more on quality education than how many people get certificates. We'll discuss this later. So that is second effort that TED Fund is undertaking, and it's very expensive. It's going to cost over 100 billion, but it has to be done, and it has been done. The third is TED Fund Special High Impact Intervention Project of Medical Schools. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as part of its support for medical education, the fund has initiated the High Impact Intervention Project for the rehabilitation of our medical schools across the country. The project is designed to address the infrastructural gaps in our medical schools, provide denser resources for research and teaching, and enhance the overall learning environment for our medical students. The project is a direct response to the need to upgrade and expand the facilities at our medical schools, ensuring that they are equipped with the latest technologies and resources. This is a significant milestone in the government's commitment to improving medical education in Nigeria and ultimately improving healthcare delivery in the country. To ensure that the goals of these projects are met promptly, a ministerial monitoring committee comprising medical professionals was constituted to assist the fund in monitoring the implementation of the intervention. The next is agricultural research laboratories / demonstration farms. The fund is sponsoring the establishment of agricultural research laboratories and demonstration farms in 6 universities of agriculture across the geopolitical zones under the 2023-2024 intervention cycle. This initiative is a deliberate effort by TEFON to strengthen the agricultural research and capacity building development within Nigeria's tertiary education system. In fact, I must also say that the laboratories, agri-laboratories that we are establishing in Nigeria is known, they don't have their peers in Africa. We are not talking about Nigeria now. We don't have their peer in Africa at all. And because Nigeria, our GDP, I think about 40% agriculture, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of our people rely on agriculture. But you can see that nobody wants to be called a farmer in this country because farming is associated with poverty, which should have been the opposite. In the US, farmers are probably the richest people. If you go to Germany, the state of Bavaria is the richest because they are agri-based. Agro-allied industries spring all over the world. Where there's agriculture, there are industries, there are food processing industries, you have agri-mechanization industries, and so on and so forth. But in this country, if you are a farmer, it's a license to poverty. If you're able to produce 10 tons this year, next year you produce 8 tons, the following year you produce 6, another year 4, another year 3, another year you are a beggar. Largely because we do not apply knowledge and skills, science, and this again we are addressing, and we're starting with the Universities of Agriculture that have been there. You go to a University of Agriculture, you see the surroundings from that same University of Agriculture, indigenes of that surroundings, they are still practicing their old practice of farming, as if the University of Agriculture is not there, and it's a serious challenge. In fact, you ask the Universities of Agriculture themselves, what are you producing? I asked the DC of University of Agriculture, though I was very polite, I said I would be interested to know what you are producing so that, I'm a farmer, I would be interested to get some of the improved seeds. He didn't have anything, nothing to give me. And this is the situation on ground. So we also feel that we needed to establish those world-class labs so that, they develop seeds, they test them, they do everything, they help, teach young agriculturists, the modern practice, modern farming techniques, how you get rich. Farmers want to get rich, isn't it? Then we also establish medical simulation centers across, again, you may note that most of our universities do not have medical simulation centers. And for us to be, again, for appropriateness and also for being up to date, TEFON is implementing, establishing medical simulation centers across the universities so that the issue of trial and error doesn't arise. Our students will be able to be specific, they'll be able to learn to be concise, and they will be able to master the skills, and we'll also be able to employ, to admit more students. Because with the medical simulation, you'll be able to teach more students than if you are using the old system. We're also establishing innovation hubs and entrepreneurship centers. The fund has sponsored the establishment of innovation hubs and entrepreneurship centers in 45 beneficiary institutions across the country under the 2023, 2024, and 2025 interventions. The hubs centers are expected to produce the enabling environment for conducting groundbreaking research and development of innovative technologies to enhance entrepreneurship, innovation, and employability in line with contemporary global best practices. Furthermore, by fostering multidisciplinary The objective of establishing the centers is to support the host institutions to promote specialization among participating tertiary institutions in areas that address national challenges and strengthen the capacities of these institutions to deliver quality training and applied research. The overarching goal for the Centers of Excellence intervention is to ensure strategic and applications-oriented research, support expertise with potential industrial application by bringing together the complementary resources needed for technical development and industrial application. In essence, the TEDFund Centers of Excellence are envisioned as catalysts for bridging the gap between research and utilization, ensuring that intellectual outputs are not confined to academic publications, but are developed into practical solutions that drive industrial growth and national prosperity. Beyond advancing research excellence, the centers are also tasked with building institutional capacity by strengthening postgraduate training, enhancing staff competencies, and promoting international collaboration and benchmarking. It is expected that the TCOS will ultimately be instrumental in addressing national challenges and strengthening the capacities of institutions to deliver quality training and applied research. TED Fair and Research for Impact. To enhance the capacity of our lecturers for innovative and impactful scientific research, TEDFund has sponsored the TEDFund Alliance for Innovative Research and Research for Impact programs and other R&D initiatives. TED Fair is a year-long program which provides a unique opportunity for academics and researchers in Nigerian universities to transform their ideas into market-driven solutions, including the development and fabrication of prototypes, while the R4I is a 2-week intensive capacity building program for academics to be able to conduct impactful research that can be translated into innovations, inventions, and solutions for practical applications and commercialization. So far, TEDFund has sponsored 939 academic staff of beneficiary institutions for these transformative programs targeted at addressing societal challenges. The program has produced 206 prototypes that can be upscaled for commercialization. National Research Fair exhibition. TEDFund has over the years funded several research projects and other R&D initiatives with promising outcomes. Thus, the fund has recognized the imperative of enhancing the linkage of these impressive research outputs to industry and the day-to-day life of the average Nigerian. Accordingly, TEDFund organized a strategic national research fair exhibition which was held from 18th to the 22nd November 2024 at the Eagle Square, Abuja, to showcase many of the concluded practical research results and technologies that are scalable, which can be commercialized. That was also done to encourage industry players, financial institutions, policymakers, and other Nigerians, particularly the young entrepreneurs, to come, see, and use such technologies. Pathways to strengthening research and innovation ecosystem. To change the narrative,
this transition from analog to digital pedagogy represents more than just a shift in tools. It reflects a fundamental change in how knowledge is created, delivered, and applied in real-world contexts. Now, I would have loved that our projector is working so you can see it real. And I will pray that after this presentation, there will be a live demonstration of the STEM toolkits in the catchy booth. So
so that we'll all come and see it, feel it. The analog era of STEM education. Most of us here attended schools in the analog classrooms where learning was primarily teacher-centered. The educators were the main sources of information, with the students being passive recipients of knowledge. Passing knowledge dependent on face-to-face interaction, heavy reliance on textbooks, instructional methods centered on lectures, and repetition. Then the laboratories experiment conducted with physical materials. We have all those tools, like I mentioned earlier. You want to do you want to use your test tool for your qualitative and quantitative analysis. You're going to bring the indicator, you bring your base, do the mixture, and then you run it through down, right? Those were all the analog ways of teaching. And you have the endpoint with the color change. Those things come with error. And that's why we always say there's an error due to what? Parallax. Good. I have good physicists here, thank you. So, the strong emphasis is on discipline, attention, and conceptual understanding. Fosters direct human interaction. It also came with lots of limitation. Minimal student engagement in creativity. You all agree with me that the teachers just come teach, and then they set the tools and tell you this is what you do this, you do that, without really allowing you to be creative. But STEM today allows you to be innovative, allows you to be creative, allow you to do the things independent. That's what the current STEM does. And then lack of differentiation to meet diverse learning needs, limited access to updated global scientific data and digital resources. We can say that the analog era provided strong foundation but was constrained by time, space, and resources. When we get down during the course of the live demonstration, you will see the limited time it takes for you to do your simple experiments. Like you want to do tests for light, you want to do tests for electricity. Within space, you get your result, you get your graph. That is what STEM has evolved into. Now we shift to the digital STEM pedagogy. Some of the major drivers of the digital era in education has been technological advancements and global access to information powered by the internet, computers, and smart boards. While these ways are already overtaken in schools and Western world, I'm going to share a story, a live experience of what happened in Nigeria when some of our students, from Nigeria represented Nigeria in a STEM competition some years back. They met in Singapore. That incident happened in Singapore. While all the other part, the Asian world, American, Europe, are already involved into STEM, we were still in the analog stage. And our students who from here, representing Nigeria, got there and we were presented with the tools to do their practical. If you've never driven a plane before, and you're asked to go into the cockpit to fly the aircraft, will you be able to do it? Anybody? You've never done it. And they now say, okay, here is the aircraft. Go fly the aircraft. Will you dare it? Because you know that you're crashing. So those students were just looking there, dumbfounded, confused. And of course, you know what that means, failure. Because why? They were not exposed to the current STEM kits, the current STEM tools. If they had been introduced, they would have competed favorably with their peers. And that is what STEM does. Allows you to compete with your peers. The COVID-19 also brought about a total innovation. You all agree with me. Now you can do virtual meetings through Teams, through Zoom. It's all innovation, isn't it? That means that STEM has really evolved. The curriculum for digital STEM also interactive, because while you're doing it, we set up a STEM pilot school for a school, Ijebode Muslim College. And in that school, the students were used to the analog, of course. But as soon as they set up that, all the students were excited to want to touch, to want to feel the tools. You know the reason why? The teacher can just set up the experiment for them, go home, and ask the students to do the experiment, independent, and send the result to the teacher handsets, the Android phone that we all use. Those are the importance of the digital STEM that we'll talk about. Collaboration tool, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, which I've all mentioned. Adaptive learning, system that adjusts content based on student performance. You know, you'll be seeing the result real, because it will show you what you're doing, whether it's wrong or right. You know, gamification and digital storytelling, you can all put that together. The pedagogy promotes active learning. It engages you because you want to learn more. You want to create. You want to innovate. You know, and gives you real feedback, global connected. You know, and you're connected to other students digitally. You see other students participating in that field, and you can ask questions and share knowledge. The modern STEM education now emphasizes learning by doing, collaboration, problem solving. The curriculum supports innovative pedagogical models that nurture creativity and critical thinking. It's inquiry-based, project-based learning, flipped classroom, gamification, and maker-based learning encouragement. The benefits: enhanced engagement through multimedia interactive content, personalized learning pathways, improved collaborations, real-time feedback. Yes, it comes, there's nothing that doesn't come with challenges. You agree with me that sometimes you pick your Android phone, it will hang, right? You know why it's hanging? You wouldn't know. Maybe due to much videos, excessive photos and all that. Or it may even be clogged by so many other things. So those things come with challenges, and every scientific innovation also has that. One, we have the inadequate infrastructure and unreliable internet connectivity. It still happens. Even in Europe, they still have challenges of internet. Teacher training gaps and resistance to technology adoption. Changes, they say, takes time. You know, when you have a new thing, for people to adapt to it, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of courage. The curriculum misalignment with digital tools and assessment system is also a challenge. Until we have the educational system supported by TED Fund, supported by the Ministry of Education, to, you know, re-evaluate our curriculum and make it digitalized, we will still continue in that analog step. And that's why the good thing the TED Fund is here, so they will take the message to the ministry to help to ensure that the curriculum, our curriculum is STEM-based. Once it's STEM-based, obviously all the teachings will become STEM-based. Why digital learning creates new opportunities? It also risks widening the digital divide. You know, some will adopt, some will lag behind. A balanced approach combining the discipline of analog learning with the flexibility of digital method could help improve or overcome the challenges. You also need the teachers shift from analog to digital STEM. And they could do it in this way. The transformation of the teacher role, because the teacher needs to be, you know, grounded in it, in the knowledge of STEM, to be able to teach it. In the analog classroom, teachers were just the main source of knowledge, delivering lectures, assigning homework, you know, grading work manually. In the digital classroom, teachers have become facilitators, mentors, and designers of learning experiences. That's the reality. They no longer just transmit information. They guide students in discovering, in analyzing, and applying knowledge using digital tools and real-world problems. The new pedagogy competencies Teachers need digital literacy along with subject expertise. This includes proficiency with digital platform like the Google Classroom and all the sorts, ability to create multimedia content, skills in data analytics to track student progress, understanding online safety, digital ethics, and responsible technology use. Shift towards learner-centered teaching. Teachers must design learning environments where students are active participants, not just passive listeners. So you agree with me that the STEM is not a one-way thing, it's a two-way thing. You have the learner, you have the listener, and in both ways. And you can it's interactive. While you're listening, you're also asking questions. That's what STEM does. You know, STEM, because of the STEM, you now have telemedicine, isn't it? You have telemedicine where you can interact with your doctor virtually. These are all as a result of digital innovation. Instead of going to the hospital physically, you can be in your home and interact with your doctor. The doctor can conduct your diagnosis, take you to the lab, and they can send somebody to your home, get your blood sample. In the time past, you have secretaries who have to sit down to take minutes. Now with AI, you just log on and it records and produce the minutes within seconds. And you can read that minute of the meeting that just been held. Robotics and integration in classroom, green technology focusing on sustainability and global solving. In conclusion, the journey from analog to digital pedagogy is not merely a technological upgrade. It is a transformation of mindset, teaching philosophy, and learning culture. The digital curriculum allows learners to connect theory with real-world applications and equip them with the critical thinking skills required in a rapidly changing world. The future of STEM isn't just about learning technology, it's about learning through technology. STEM educators must therefore embrace this transformation, blending the best of both worlds to inspire the next generation of innovators, scientists, and problem solvers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ijoku, for the session. Any questions? He said he'll be asking questions. So any questions?
So ask questions, otherwise I will send my script around now for the questions.
Any question? Questions? So you mean you wasted 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Questions now? Questions? Don't think any question is irrelevant. Just ask. Just ask.
On the relationship between the teachers and the students. And my question is that how far have you guys gone in reaching out to these teachers to actually create awareness for this issue, sir? Thank you.
Thank you.
Difficult for students to be able to grab what actually stems. And in addition, I was going through the biography of the president, Dr. Issa, and I found out that she actively engages policymakers. So I don't know if, I sense that in those people that have been talking since yesterday, from the senior advisor to the Lagos State government, and again to, I don't remember his name, right, a few minutes ago. So if she can engage those policymakers on how to, equip teachers to learn more about STEM, to actually go a long way in educating students. Thank you.
Everybody will become STEM involved, because when you have the educators who are able to transform the knowledge, everybody will now learn. But we'll keep pushing. We're not relenting. It's like a burden on us to to ensure that Nigeria becomes STEM involved, not just the third world learning it new, but to be a full-time participant in the STEM world. And that's what we're trying to do. So I'll allow the president to also comment.
Where are you from?
I work at Guinness, Nigeria.
He needs new formulation for stout. She has not been able to influence them to upgrade Nigerian educational curriculum. I like this, I like the challenge. I have to tell you that from April year 2000, Y2K, that was the first time I personally came in contact with the reality of the obsolescence of our educational curriculum. We had a conference in Abuja at the Hilton with our manufacturing partner at the time, BDH, and the Director of Science and Technical Education of the Federal Ministry of Education came, attended it. She was so impressed with what she saw, and she was a scientist herself, that she came to me at the end of, as we're networking, I said, Madam, I want you to come and see my director and my minister, because I want your group, Kachi and BDH, to supply all the reagents and chemicals we need for the upcoming WAEC and NECO exams. This was happening in April. I asked her, when is the WAEC exam, when is the NECO? She said WAEC is in June. I said, it's too late. It's too late because if we supply to you the quality chemicals and reagents that we have, it will confuse your students because they've never used it. You didn't use it to teach them. They won't know what to expect. I would advise you to continue with whatever you've been teaching them with. WAEC is West African, it's not just a Nigerian exam. And let us begin a journey towards sanitizing the way you source your science equipment, consumables, chemicals, and that's how my journey started. Just like you, young man, I was vaccinated with I received the vaccine of wanting to upgrade and sanitize science education. It was 25 years in April. And in those years, I met almost every minister of education, begging them to update, upgrade, modernize science education, because we go nowhere with analog. The world moved on a long time ago, and we cannot produce graduate researchers who can use modern science equipment to research and produce solutions today without digital science education. And I would, we did this. Simon was part of that crusade. That's why he gave me the spike, because we've been at this thing for a long time. We got to the place where we sponsored on-the-spot assessment of various federal and secondary schools across the country. Under the minister, what was his name, is from, I think, Osun State or so. The Federal Ministry of Education identified 4 schools, including the minister. One of them had nothing. There was nothing in that school. And I asked, why are we going there? It says the minister's village. But we went to Ijaniki, that was the most best equipped. We went to Federal Secondary School, Abuja, that was the second best. We went to Kano, that was running down, needing work. And we went to, what was the name of that village? That had nothing. We prepared reports, we developed a curriculum, we developed a catalog. We studied the NECOC and WIAC syllabus to identify what is needed to effectively teach the students so that they can do well in WIAC and NECO. We're not just traders. We haven't been traders buying and selling for a long time. Kachi doesn't do buying and selling. That's not what we're about. So I'm just telling you this journey. So we did all of this. We sponsored the Federal Ministry of Education. We brought in SETI, the local manufacturers of science equipment, federal government organization, to also be part of that team so that anything they can make in Nigeria, they will make. And the idea was to connect the Federal Ministry of Education directly with the manufacturers to produce equipment and chemicals branded for the federal government, so it will be difficult to steal and sell. Anywhere you see it, you say, why are you selling this? This is federal government property. But to sanitize it and get Nigeria to get the best possible price. With that kind of arrangement, the things were coming from Europe and the US, China couldn't touch the price because it was going to be very, very discounted. When we got to the director, his degree was in history. So we were talking Greek. But we found a way to get to the minister, and about the time he was catching the vision, he was removed. Another minister came who started afresh. Who knows this minister? How do we get to know them? We continued like that, and so let me now tell them, that's how we met. I met architect Sonny, because at the time, I think a few years back, he was the permanent secretary under Alaji Adamu, and he was doing a lot. He was like de facto, the minister trusted him. So we got to someone who was smart, excellent based, and understood what we're doing. We actually brought some multinational STEM people, STEM experts from the US, did a presentation to him and his team. It was a full boardroom at the Ministry of Education. And they were, he bought into it, he could see it. There was an example of Kuwaiti school that everything was STEM and the things the kids were able to do. And then he said to it there, and then he formed a subcommittee with the then Director of Science and Technical Education in the Federal Ministry of Education and some other people, and said, don't rest until you find a solution, find a way to upgrade the curriculum. And I can tell you that we've built and equipped 5-stream science complex for secondary school based on analog curriculum. And we have also built and equipped 5-stream science complex based on STEM pedagogy. And the STEM school cost 1/3 of what it cost us to build the analog one. So it's very much cheaper to do STEM, to use STEM to teach. We brought all this out. So after we started to have the meeting. We are coming from Abuja for this meeting. This is from Lagos, paying money and everything. At a point, they told us, write a proposal. So we wrote a proposal and submitted. And then the next thing, they wrote us a letter. We're not giving contracts. When we start giving contracts, we will advertise. Look out for it so you can participate. So I told Oga Sonny, this is what they say. He said, why can't these people understand? He was frustrated. He now called them again, gave a brief, go back. The day I went that day, he asked me, did you participate in the bid? I said, no, we didn't. We didn't know about it. Because we don't really, our core is not really secondary school. This is a national passion to modernize science. And when we do, our nation will do well. Our businesses will also do well because they will have researchers that we can support and equip their laboratories for them to do effective work. So we were looking out for opportunities to equip secondary schools. We didn't know about it. He said to me, go to room what I want. I was there with John Martins. We went. They gave us, and we paid, and we got the bid documents. I opened it and I looked. I went back to Augustine. I said, you cannot leave this place until you have modernized science curriculum. Oga, the same things I used to learn chemistry and physics 150 years ago is what you're using for children today. That is not okay. He said to me, he told me what to do. We went to do it. Again, we got a letter. We're not giving contracts. When we're awarding contracts, we will let you know. When he left, he was now promoted. I was still harassing him. He got promoted to third fund. I ran to third fund and said, now you have money. And you can do whatever you want with the money. Modernize science curriculum. He goes, that's not my area. It's not my area of, you know. So yes, we talk to policymakers. We push. We will never stop. We will never stop. In fact, I've been pursuing Alausa. I hear he's nicer. We've gone to the former minister before he was removed. Now there's a new minister and I've been pursuing him. I told one of my husband's friends, I said, you're a Yoruba man, he's Yoruba, find him, drag him to my lab. We need to modernize this curriculum. I harassed to tell and he said, you know, Kate, I don't really know him. I've tried to reach him. He doesn't know me, Kate. I can't do this. So if you know Dr. Alausa, the Minister of Science and Education, please tell him that we have an emergency on our hands. Our nation needs to have a science education curriculum upgraded, modernized to digital, to STEM. And it's 1/3 of the cost of what they're spending right now. Evidence-based, we will graduate children, students, graduates who understand digital science and can use the modern digital equipment to do research to find solutions that we need for our nation. It's existential. We cannot continue like that. Yes, that thing you read about me is true. I'm not going to give them rest. As long as I have breath in me, I will drag this my hurting knee up and down those crooked steps in Abuja to keep fighting until we can make this change happen. Because if we do not, we all lose. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so just on a final note, in addition to what Dr. Kate said,
DJ, please hand it out. Okay, the BOT chairman will be making that presentation. Please, BOT chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We are learning a lot. We are all students, lifetime students. We keep growing, we keep learning, we keep working, and we keep innovating. We welcome our natural partner, Third Fund, to this forum. Why do I say natural partner? If you listen to what he said, you will find that it's in line with what we have always propagated. It's not about money, it's not about profit, it's about our country. That is the most important thing everybody will take away. We are working for our country, we are working for the next generation, and we are working for the future. We want to make our country great again. If I should borrow from Maga. Yeah. Okay? So that's why we are natural partners. We are working together. So you are welcome. You have represented the Executive Secretary very well. And on behalf of Scientific Products Association of Nigeria, I present Executive Secretary keep on his table as a reminder that his work is appreciated and he has partners that will help him deliver a revolution that will change our country, put us among the top list of countries that have advanced in science, in technology, in healthcare, in agriculture, in every aspect of life. So we are welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Didn't get faulty. It was because the people who were using it had no training on how to use an NMR machine. So today we are introducing to you virtual reality, which is an extension of what we call extended reality. It places you in a world that is different from what you're seeing around you. For example, if I want to learn about cadavers, that is cadaver bodies that medical students dissect, all I need to do is to put on this VR headset and then it's going to show me a world that is different from what is around me. And that was what I was doing there. I was actually doing some dissection. So this is important because it reduces the cost of education. It reduces the risk of using equipment that you do not know how to handle. But with virtual reality, you can actually be in an environment where you can learn any kind of education, you can have any kind of education at all. For example, I'll just give this before I step out. A couple of months ago, we had some people who got fainted. They fainted when they saw real cadaver. And then we had to just introduce them to the virtual reality cadaver, digital cadaver by Brahmasid. And immediately, they were able to learn how to dissect. And when they got into the real world, where they saw the real cadaver, they were not scared anymore. Now, these are the things that we do to enhance education. Because the truth is this, and I'll leave by saying this. Number one, you can hear it from your teacher or read it in a book. You can see it in pictures, and you can also watch it on videos. But if you have not experienced it, you don't know it. Because true knowledge comes when you experience. If you don't experience it, it is just content. But true knowledge is when you experience it. So we'll be at the booth, innovation booth downstairs. I would like you to come and experience what the digital cadaver looks like or virtual reality. Thank you very much.
The panelists and everyone seated, you're welcome to this special panel session, discussion. Yesterday was great, like every other person mentioned. Today is another day to take it to another level. Are we excited? Are we excited? All right. Our topic, like the moderator earlier mentioned, is bridging the gap between academia, research, and real-life application. I want to begin by saying that to bridge a gap is a collection affair. It is not a one-sector thing. And so we'll be hearing from the experts from various industry, the academia, then the research. They'll be speaking to us on how to bridge this gap. how to build a link to make sure that from start to finish, we are enjoying that scientific knowledge that we all have, or that a nation needs for sustainable development. So I welcome everyone here once again, and I want to begin with Chief Uzomba. Sir, you have been in the industry for a very long time, if I'm not mistaken. It's almost 45 years. So I want to ask you, how can we encourage more collaboration between university researchers and industry professionals from the initial stage of a project?
Well, the topic, how do we build a bridge, or how do we build bridges that will take research, innovations from the laboratory, from the classroom, from people's homes, to industry and manufacturing for the benefits of the common people and the nation at large. To me, it is very simple. Yet, it can be complicated depending on how you handle it. If you look at Nigeria, 65 years after independence, a lot of things have been done on the education sector, technology, and industrialization. But something has not been done, and that is integrating them together with policy. If each time I look at it, I have 4 classifications. One is education. That's the knowledge side. It starts from primary, secondary, first degree, second degree, EAD, and full-time research in one group. The other group is technology that can convert those laboratory experiments or innovations and deliver them to industry, to manufacturing. And the last one is government and its policies. Today, like the previous speaker said, the educational system is doing what it likes. The industries do what they can or they like. Government policies or people in government make their policies the way they like. And there is not much integration. The question is, who decides what I want? Who decides what you want? Is it the government, or the manufacturer, or the researcher? When all of them are doing their separate things, you don't expect coherence. Billions and billions of naira and dollars are spent at these stages. Even government owns a lot of manufacturing industries, refineries, vehicle assembly plants, iron and steel, paper mill, sugar, just name it. One thing is common to all of them. Not even one of them can pay the salary of his workers without going to Abuja to collect money. Why? So, it is because of this lack of integration. I don't want us to go far. I have a lot to say, but let me take it, show how it can be integrated. The first thing is, what do we want to achieve in the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years from now? What do we want to achieve as a country? If we determine that, and it cannot be determined by government alone, the governments and the employers of labor, that is the organized private sector, should sit down and determine what will be the priorities in the next years. When we know what we want, then we go to the education sector and then see how to bring up the knowledge, the manpower that will be required to achieve those things. The education sector should produce the manpower, the research, along with research organization, and results, which can be scaled up. The next will be, how do you deliver those results to the manufacturing level? We need technology, tools, machines, equipment that will deliver the research or innovation, the research outputs and innovations to the manufacturing plants. And if that is successfully done, the products will be produced from factories and made available to the common man and for export.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's give him a round of applause. While he was speaking, he talked about what we want, and finally he said the bedrock is, the final stage is the government. So that brings me to Dr. Ajayi. Sir, I want to ask, what policy changes or funding would best support bridging this gap?
Thank you very much. Like I said, I'll be speaking from the government perspective. And, I first of all respect the research space because the strength of innovation sits on research. Without people who put in their time and lives, sitting in the laboratories and coming up with these new things, there cannot be innovation. However, on the government side of things, there have been efforts at different levels. Just as I came in, I had a conversation about strengthening education as a policy and implementation initiative on the Lagos State government side that I can speak for, we have a Research and Innovation Council that funds research in Lagos State. Currently, in fact, a few days ago, we made a call for a new batch of research, and they've been funding research for many years. In fact, from about, I remember very clearly, I got a grant from them about 15 years ago before I ever came into government. So there's a Research and Innovation Council in Lagos that funds research. Researchers come from universities, but you have to be tied to a research institution. And that, I think, has given birth to a lot of things. It used to be Innovate Lagos. They used to call that program or that department Innovate Lagos. This must have been like 2007, 2005, yeah, 2007 to 10. But it's currently now an agency on its own. It's called the Lagos State Research and Innovation Council. So that, on the one hand, strengthens or supports research with funding. The second thing that government can do is to sort of mandate institutions like manufacturing firms to support. A lot of it goes into education tax. So we can drive conversations that will mandate all these companies to fund research from their proceeds. I think one other simple thing is to harness the research budget that is in these tertiary institutions across town. So tertiary institutions in Lagos, I know, have a research budget. In fact, the ministry I was in before, Ministry of Health, had a 1 billion naira for research that was barely assessed. It was there for many years. People will not write, people will not come for it. Even when you announce that there's research grant, people may not be too enthusiastic to go through the process of applying. So we've seen a lot of these things. There's funding in government for research purposes, but you don't need to know where it is and how to assess it. And I think that the various ministries that have it, can talk about how they assess it. But even for my agency, LASEPA, we have some funds for research. And we've been doing a lot of work with other tertiary institutions in Lagos. So I think that it's really just for people to come forward, is to have research topics that align with the work we do. And I think we should be able to make progress with that.
Thank you so much, sir. Before you hand over your mic, I want to ask further. So I picked something. You talked about the budget, the research funding that was not harnessed for a couple of years. And one of your suggestions is that probably people don't want to go through that process, even when it was properly announced. I want to ask, what medium did the government, because it's the government funding, right? What medium did they use to announce this funding you're talking about? Because then I want to also further ask, is it just for Lagos State or for Nigerian citizens as a whole?
Okay, so the budget of Lagos State is for people who live in Lagos, who work in Lagos and pay their tax in Lagos. If you are going to access funding from the budget of Lagos State or from the ministry's research, you need to be affiliated with an institution in Lagos State, right? So be affiliated with, it doesn't have to be, it could be a federal institution that is domiciled in Lagos, and it must be a research that will improve the quality of life of the Lagosians. It must be relevant to the work we do in Lagos. It must have something to do with the people of Lagos, and it must benefit Lagosians. So if your research ticks all of these boxes, and you have affiliation with any of the tertiary institutions in Lagos, you are eligible to apply for it. The one I talked about earlier was in health. I've talked about the one in LASEPA. I know that several other ministries have funding for research. They have a budget for research. If your research aligns with their areas of interest, for instance, LASEPA will not be funding a research on bone fracture, for instance. It is not part of my work. But I would be more than happy to fund research in underground water, in air quality and human health. I'll be more than happy to fund research in land pollution, waste oil pollution that affects tertiary drainages and water bodies in Lagos. So for me, I think that there's research, it just has to align. If it aligns, you talk to the right people, you write appropriately at the right time. So if there's funding for research at the beginning of the year, the best time to apply for research grants is at the beginning of the year, because that is when government budget opens, right? When you write, we have meetings, consider it. There's a research and development department in almost every ministry. Consider your research ideas. We're happy to work with it so long as it helps us.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up for Dr. Ajayi. Professor Frank, I want to come to you. I'm going to skip Professor Tsibi for a little bit. So he emphasized on funding. I know you schooled in Nigeria. You're not a Nigerian, but you schooled in Nigeria. And you did most of your research work in Nigeria. I want to find out, what were the hurdles? What were the significant hurdles that you had to cross to make sure that your research was done and was done perfectly for you to be at this stage?
Right, thank you very much for that question. Before I share my thoughts, on that research hurdle, I want to first of all appreciate SPAN, for putting up this very beautiful, conference. Because ideally, I'm not trying to flatter them. I'm just saying the basic truth. Because when I got invites for this program, in my mind, I just thought that we were just coming to meet a group of people who want to sell product. But I want to say it here without any sense of flattery that of the 10 conferences I've attended lately, this is one of the best, because I'm hearing issues that are being discussed here. We expect them from the academia, but it's quite surprising that it's people who are in the business sector who are talking about issues that should come from the academia, and it's actually quite exciting. But I feel ashamed somehow, because the major drivers of our university system are not here. Because there's a lot of information that are being passed here that they need to hear. Because the university system is like, a compound that has a fence around it. We don't believe that we can learn from the outside world. And with what I'm seeing here, I'm convinced that we still have a lot to learn. And I think SPAN will provide that platform, or will also maybe drag universities into this, because we are, if I'm not making a mistake, one of the major users of Science Product Association. So, as you rightly said, researching in Nigeria actually is not easy. And that's actually why we don't experience what I call a scientific emancipation in this country. Yes, I will give you some statistics that will blow your mind. It's clear, just like Doctor said, science, innovations, drive the economy. If a country does not embrace science, it goes nowhere. And the result of scientific output, are pushed outside through journals. But it interests you to know that of all the journals published in Nigeria, Africa, 40 to 50% are domiciled in Nigeria. That means in Nigeria, we publish more than any country in Africa. The next to us is South Africa, with only 17%, followed by Egypt. Now the question is, what is the outcome of these publications? That means our publications are barren. Nothing comes out of them. So the question is, why can't we produce quality research? Simply because of what we are talking about, funding. The Tech Fund representative, made some valid points that all our equipment are obsolete. So you cannot produce a quality, a high impact journal, research, when you don't use up-to-date equipment. I want to share this experience with us. As a PhD student, I traveled to Italy for a conference. So what was I presenting on? Dynamic T8T4 quantification protocol for CD4, right? It was a poster presentation. But when I got in, I saw researchers from Europe. They were talking about SciFlow already. That time, I don't think we had, that was 2007. You could barely count 2 centers without equipment in Nigeria. I came from Africa with one of the archaic technologies. So when it was time for poster reviews, I had to run away because I was ashamed, with the technology I used. I was talking about Dynamic T48 quantification protocol. One protocol that they used in the 70s. So that was what was in vogue in Nigeria. Let's talk about the common PCR we are talking about. We still have doctors, professors in Nigerian university who have not seen a PCR machine. When in civilized client, people are talking about sequencers, droplet PCR, we still have people who don't, our students who have not even laid their hand on these technologies. So the issue of funding has been a major challenge. That's actually why in our university, we publish for degrees or for promotion. That's why, despite the large number of research we carry out in Nigeria, Nigeria is a country that experienced the least scientific impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I can go to Prof. Rotimi. So he mentioned that the major hurdle that you can get during research is funding, because there are absolute machines to do what you want to, your analysis, what you want to perform. Okay, so I want to ask you, you've been successful, and I want to congratulate you because while they were reading your profile, I was listening. At some point I heard about prostate cancer, am I correct? So that's a success, yes. So I want to ask, what does real life success look like? Especially in applying this research to this real life application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much once again. Let me join Prof and others to really appreciate SPAN for bringing together the unlikely bedfellows who should actually be talking together. Because what drives progress is a tripartite of research, policy, and the application of it. And we're all here. So it's very nice to be here. It's one disease that if you, and I'm happy Dr. Ajayi is here, he's still a physician. Anyway, it's one disease that if you look at the risk factors, age, number one, and that makes sense. Everybody's going to grow old, and mechanism, oxidative stress, a lot of things as we grow old, things wear, tear, and all of that. Number two risk factor is being a man. Again, that's very clear. You need to be a man to have prostate. The number three factor is being black. At that point, that never made sense to me. And I felt that why should the color of your skin be a risk factor for a very deadly disease? It's like saying risk factor for house breakdown, and you mentioned the paint used in painting that house. So that didn't make sense to me. So I realized that we need to peel over that skin and go under the hood and understand what is going on there. So I wanted to understand that problem and solve it. And in going that path, I encounter all the challenges that we've talked about. And we must understand that incentive is very important in solving problems. So we complain very well as an academia that we don't interact with industry, and as Prof said, we publish a lot, but we don't take it further. One of the other things is that there is incentive for publishing. I'm not made a professor because I produce a product. The factor for making me a professor is my number of publications. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you say that brilliant guy in the university teaches very well, he has XYZ product. If you look at our promotion criteria, the topmost there is publication. Okay? So if you have the publications, you become a professor and you are good to go. So it's a lot for us to even, for some of us who try to break a little bit out of that and say, we're going to do something that will directly, quantitatively solve a problem, a particular problem, and go headlong. Now that comes with a lot of challenges. As you make progress in this technology and making that problem, there's very strong pull out of this country. I'm not even saying push. Okay, that's number one, that's one of it. Number two, you're dealing in the area of all of these new technologies that in themselves they appear easy on paper, but when you get to the laboratory, they begin to appear a little bit like rocket science itself. So, how do you overcome that? So these are the things that over time, some of us have tried to overcome and focus on a very tiny area, which unfortunately that's what academia is all about, and provide solutions to that. So for my own career, Bill mentioned, we've identified specific genes that we believe we have evidence to say contribute to the disease of interest in a Nigerian population. So I think that is success in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Professor Rotimi. Professor Tatfine, I'm going to come back to you. You talked about incentivizing. How do we incentivize and reward these professors, these people that are like Professor Rotimi, that is bringing academia, research, innovation into real life application?
Right. Thank you very much for that question. You know, I really have to appreciate my friend because he's doing what we call translational science, right? It's solving a problem, okay? And solving a problem is, on its own, is a form of incentive, because if the country takes up the technology it's coming up with, and for instance, approach the manufacturing industry and say, can we produce, for instance, a kit that will enable us, detect these particular disease in blacks? That alone, right, brings in a lot of fun on this table. Now, I want to speak about the issue of patenting, because when you are into translational research, you come up with products that are eventually patented, and when a product is patented, obviously there is a reward to it. So in so many ways, research can be incentivized. Even by government, if you look at what happened, for instance, let me just take the South African system where I'm used to. In the University of KwaZulu-Natal, when you come up with kind of studies that my colleagues is coming up and publishes it in a high impact journal, there is an amount of fund that the university remits into your research account. So it doesn't have to all the time be fetching money from his own pocket to continue with what he's doing. But unfortunately, in our own system, nothing like that exists. So you see countries with maybe fewer journals, or you don't get the number of publications that come out in Nigeria, but at the end, when you quantify the amount of fund that those researchers draw into the system, it's monumental. I know some departments in some South African universities that are richer than some universities in Nigeria as a result of products that researchers of that university come up with. The other clear example I can talk about this to also buttress this issue of incentives is when there is a strong connection between the university and the industry. You know, the university on its own sometimes pays stipends to researchers. For instance, in my department where we specialize on fermentation, the South African brewery owns the laboratory in the Department of Microbiology and Biochemistry. So it's a South African brewery that equipped that laboratory. I may finish work today with an equipment, the next day when I come is another equipment that is in. A new equipment is brought in, you know, with higher capacity than the one I worked with yesterday, and that is by the South African brewery. And any research you carry out that improve their product, you know, stipends are given to the researchers. So there are so many ways to encourage research, you know, not only by giving them maybe a financial support, but also ensuring that the equipment they work with and consumable are available at all times.
Thank you very much. I'll be coming back to Chief Uzomba, who has been in the system of this equipment manufacturing and selling. That's sales of laboratory equipment and whatnot. I want to ask, sir, now they have talked about real life application of research that is ongoing. And he talked about the incentivizing of the people who are in that forefront, making sure that solutions reach every one of us, because I want to believe that if Prof. Rotimi's research is acceptable in Nigeria, we will benefit. Not first, Nigerians will benefit, Nigerian men will benefit, then it will go across Africa. Now I want to ask, what do you think is most significant? What is that problem that you think is most significant in bringing about that kit that we mentioned now? I just want to be practical. What do you think can be the most significant problem you will face when Prof. Rotimi finishes with this process and it's time for you to manufacture this equipment and it's not coming forth? What do you think can be a problem for you to do that? Thank you.
Well, I made 4 divisions, 4 steps to the market, from the classroom to technology, government policy, and manufacturing. When I use the word classroom, it in both research and the educational institutions, I lump them together because it's all about from one level to another. Now, Tech Fund approached the private sector years back and said, well, you are the consumers of the products, the private sector, and the consumers of the products of educational system, major consumers. Not that they eat human beings, but they are the employers of these people. How can you help the government to produce quality manpower? At the end of the day, we agreed that every company pays 2.5% of its profits. And they formed what you metamorphose into present Tech Fund. And this runs into billions every year. Imagine the oil companies, some are paying billions to Tech Fund. But what do we get? In fact, most of the time, nobody represents the organized private sector in Tech Fund. It's government and their politicians. And we're not getting what we pay for. The TED fund money is not government money. It's the money that belongs or contributed by the private sector for the purpose of helping the education system, the research system to come up with things that can serve as inputs into the manufacturing sector. We belong to MAN, we belong to NASIMA, we belong to NECA. That's what you call the organized private sector. And we have been saying, why are the products of these universities are even worse than what's obtained years back. The researchers are not motivated. The lecturers are always going on strike every year, even to get their salary. The facilities are not there. So, on our side, really, many of us are not happy. The organized private sector is not happy. We are spending money on education and we are not getting the proper. I was interviewing somebody, maybe it's in this place. He read science, laboratory technology, and he said, during his time in the university, they were just managing to do maybe one practical in 6 months or 1 year. Some of them have to hang there for years before they get accreditation and graduate out. That's not education. Research is the same thing. We have PRODA, we have FIRO, we have so many research organizations. What do we get from them every year? Qualities. So, these organizations are controlled by the government. And they are not working well. Like everything else, owned and run by the government, whether it is a motor assembly plant or refinery or anything. And continue collecting tax from us. So, we keep on bringing it up. Government should sit up and do the right thing. Give us quality, make them well, motivate them well, and they will change this country forever. Am I telling lies?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So coming to the end of this panel discussion, but in a word, I want all our panelists to tell me, for the purpose of the young people who are here, how can young innovators or startups benefit from research institutions?
Thank you very much. I want to take a leap from what the president of SPAN said, the curriculum. Actually, we have to rethink our curriculum. The way our curricula are being executed cannot bring the change we need. I remember a couple of years back, do I like being practical? I was introducing a course called molecular biology at 500 level. The fight started from my colleagues that you are bringing this science, who will teach it? We are not knowledgeable. So my colleagues were afraid of that course, but I was telling them, this is the science of tomorrow. Little do we know that COVID will come. And when that COVID broke out, they were looking for people who have knowledge in molecular biology. But unfortunately, and it's sad to state that, at that time, our graduates were not able to actually help us man our lab. We had to start that training from afresh. So curriculum and capacity building are the key.
Very much, sir. Professor Rotimi, one second. How can our young innovators or startups
take advantage of research
yes,
from Nigeria universities?
Yes.
Oh, very easy. Go to ChatGPT, ask prompt ChatGPT to tell you, depending on your area of innovation, that should give you discoveries from Nigerian universities or published by Nigerian authors, most likely from and in Google Scholar or Open Access. I hope you took down those key points that I turned out. Now, the reason is that, as he said, there's a lot of publications out there. Most of those, each publication has some information in it. To guide you, technology has advanced. I cannot say go and do literature review. That may not be something you're familiar with. But you all have AI now. It could be your Google. The Google also has AI. You don't even go to ChatGPT. Ask Google AI mode to tell you research discovery in Nigeria related to whatever your domain is. And it will tell you and give you the name of the university and that professor or researcher that's doing it. Try and come further, and there's nothing wrong in you sending an email. Because for every one of us, our email is all our publications. Send an email, tell the person that you like what the person is doing, this is the idea that you are developing, you'll be very happy to relate with that person. You're likely going to have a chance to interact with the person, and the advantage that that person can now give you more information beyond the result that is published. Because for every one of our publications, there's always much more that we don't write out there. So think about that, and I think that will be very, very helpful. And just one that I want to add and to support what Dr. Jai said, I can confirm to you that every government organization has some budget for research. The challenge is also on the part of the academia. We've been siloed, as he said, and some of us are trying to are doing our best to talk to our colleagues and say, by working with government, we are not just helping ourselves, we are also helping our nation. Because there's no usefulness of a solution that you have that's just sitting in your lap because you don't want to talk to government. More often than not, when you talk to government, they are very receptive. And Dr. Ajayi said I worked with him very well when he was still at the Ministry of Health in Lagos State, and we can still continue to talk. Already talking. So please, if you're researching and you're listening to this, Nigerian government has some enough funding that you can benefit from. And apart from TED fund, for example, my university is not a public university, so we can't access TED fund directly. But there's also World Bank Center of Excellence, which gives more money, way more than TED fund. In fact, we're able to get up to $6 million US, okay, from that, and it's actually also still through federal government. There is CBN gives more funding. Okay, so a lot of funding within government parastatal that we can benefit from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Ajayi.
Same question. Just continuing from where he left it off. You need to know your way around, and this is me talking as a, as a government person. Knowing your way around. You can't hear me. Okay. Knowing your way around in any space you find yourself is the 101, is the most important thing. Know where to look for opportunities, know who is doing what, follow them, follow the opportunities, follow the money. If you look enough, you will find the money. LASEPA, for instance, we have a functional environmental laboratory, maybe the only government-owned functional environmental lab in Nigeria. And most of the people downstairs that are doing the exhibition are people. We patronize them, we buy reagents from them, we repair equipment with them. So there's that partnership, there's that handshake that currently exists. For young researchers, follow the older researchers who know the way around, who have assessed opportunities, who have assessed funding. And I'm sure that these things always exist. If you search the internet alone, the amount of funding you can get access to is phenomenal. As an agency, I drive my people. Let us request funding. We got $250,000. We've gotten a couple of funding here and there over the past 2 years, just because I have said, search the internet. There's so many people, and this is not from Nigerian government, this is from Japanese government. The funding is always there. If you write for it, if you know where it is, you chase it, and part of the funding, of course, will go into buying equipment in our lab, it will improve our standards, apart from actually implementing the research and translating it into policy. Again, always write about your work, discuss what you do, put it out there, put it on the internet, put it on LinkedIn. Whenever they search for someone in your space, your name should pop up, right? It is a very important thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Chief Uzomba, with the question asked, what do you think, how can innovators and young innovators and startups, how can they benefit from this research?
What is already mentioned, as a young person,
look at a research area where you have competence, and if possible, you can translate from laboratory to manufacturing. If you, well, let me give you an example. A young man graduated in chemistry years back and was looking for a job. He went to Kano during the Hamadan to see his relation. And then he discovered that Vaseline was a big market. December, people, he came back to Lagos and he was discussing it with me. I said, how much do you know about that? He said he did, part of his research was on jelly, petroleum jelly, and the skin, how it affects the skin and all that. And in fact, that's the best thing. It's okay. He said, oh, you want to start making Vaseline or similar thing? He said, you could do that. I said, okay. Go to Port refinery and another place, two other places, and see whether you can buy the petroleum jelly from them. When he went and came back and said he had found sources for that. I said, okay, I can fabricate something for you from our factory, and then you can start making it. Okay, I did some design, welded it and all that, put a power, put a heating space, and then tested it in our factory, and then we saw it and it was fine. We took it to Kano. We get the jelly, put it in there, start heating it, put in something to make it smell fine. And then once melted there, and then use the tap. Put the tap and started filling the container one by one with employee. Well, the long and short story is that within 2 years, he was riding a Mercedes car, and he was talking about marriage. And that guy has become a big guy long ago. Okay, so that's it. To be about things that solve, in your environment. Solve problems in your environment. If you are in Unilag, there's this dirty water over there. Okay? If you are reading transportation, I think that's what they call it. Try to study and solve the problem of go slow in Lagos, and so on and so forth. Malaria is our main problem. Do you have herbs or plants or roots or something that can cure malaria or stop the growth of mosquitoes in stagnant water? Or something about malaria that you can do? If you can find a solution to mosquitoes and malaria, you will become a multi-billionaire in a very short time. So look for, I tell my colleagues, my friends in the university, I said, look, don't bother about going to do groundbreaking research. For now, what we need is to solve the problems of the environment in our environment. We have over 200 universities in Nigeria. If each one is working with this environment, we'll be sure that many problems will be solved within a 5-year period. And then we can scale up as we go. But for now, the most important research are the ones that solve immediate problem of the environment. So that is my advice. When you finish your
your first degree, you go to master's. Assuming you have worked on the environment, an aspect of the environment in your first degree, you go to your master's, you also work at the next level of the problem of the environment. You now go and do your PhD on the same thing, but now scaled up. By the time you finish, you will be an expert in that aspect of the environment.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. A round of applause for all our panelists. We are in the question and answer session. Please, if you have any question, we are going to be taking just 3 questions. So if you have any question, let me see your hand. Any other person?
The gap in getting research into policy, and most of the time when discussion is is up and running, most of the time the bulk of the blame is to the government. However, my question to some of my professors or my mentors is that almost all of my lecturers are there maybe MSc, PhD, education in the US, the UK. It means that the people at that ladder, they're exposed, they have the knowledge and everything. So my question is that the onus of getting research into policy truly lies on who? Is it the academic class, the academia? Because I feel like you said that professors, to be a professor is the number of publications that you have. So I feel like the research that those people are making too can be translated into policy and things, but who is supposed to do that? Are they supposed to pursue that? Is it the government that's supposed to fund it? Or personally, can they also, the way some people make a product and go to a pharmaceutical company and say, I've made this vaccine, I've done this and that, can lecturers also pursue that? Or can they also advocate for research into policy? Thank you.
And I carried out some little researches. I discovered that I had some results. How to pass it across, I will post it here, write letters to some ministries and all that. Along the line, the thing will be missing along the line. I wouldn't know where it is. I don't know where to go. When you go here, you don't get anybody. So my question now is, if somebody approach you or SPAN, is there any way you can post that thing forward? Because if you post it in the net, you wait till eternity before anybody calls you, or probably locate where you are and make sure he calls you. How would you be able to help an individual like that? Thank you very much.
Learn and know how to operate. How can these universities gain access or gain ownership to these equipment so that we, the students, can be able to use them more effectively? So that at the end of the day, like in the future, when we are trying to make use of them or trying to have research, do research of some things, so that there will be a difficulty in us trying to use this equipment. Because most universities now, there are no equipments. They are outdated, they are not useful. Society has gone far, we need equipment. So how can we gain these equipment? Thank you.
So that there is a kind of wide gap between the academicians, the politicians, and the industry. Until we think of bridging that gap, trying to bring everybody together, that we can set up, a model that will actually make the product of research what we want. I think, let me just say this here. I don't know whether we are working in tandem with SPAN. Even in my university, we have a conference coming up next month, and the president of SPAN will be a speaker. And the theme of that conference is postgraduate research, the nexus between the universities and society. So because we have actually identified that there is that gap. So we've gone around, and the speakers at that conference are majorly the people from the industry. We asked the academician to excuse us this time around. We are bringing people from the industry to speak to us. And somebody from the State House of Assembly will be speaking on research and policy, how that can come together. Other people will speak on the various topics, but the major speakers are from the industry, because enough of theorizing, and at the end nothing comes out of it. We want to learn from people who are on the field. Thank you. I think my colleague may add some few things.
Yes, so that's like the part of government. The other part, and by the way, I'm also a biochemist. If you graduated from last year, depending on the year, maybe I could have served as an examiner. Again, I have all my colleagues there. There's also the part for the lecturer, for the professors. So if I want NASEPA to take up my research product or my research idea, what I will do is I will identify conference attended that NASEPA will typically go to, and I will go and present there. Okay? When you do that, Dr. Tony doesn't have to be there. But somebody from NASEPA will be there and will go back and tell them, there's this guy somewhere that made this presentation. I think he has a solution to the problem we are facing. That is one way that we should go about. Dr. Issa mentioned it, that they were at a conference and the director from the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Education was there. And that led to the conversation that they started having, even though it's not been fully successful, but it started that conversation. And so we cannot continue to sit in silos and expect the other person on the other side to hear us. We must go to where they are and give our talk. And I can tell you from personal experience, people in government listen when we present our research. Because we have data, and our data is already peer reviewed. And so I wanted to, based on that, touch on your question, sir. Yes, you did some research, and then you're trying to get it across. Now, you see, anybody can come up with an idea and say, I missed this and this. But the thing that academic will do is that it's already peer reviewed, that somebody else has checked it, because there is what we call placebo effect. Okay, you can say, oh, I gave this to this speech. So there's research procedure. As professor, that's part of what we learn, and that's part of what we teach today. So research must follow a particular scientific procedure for it to have strength. It doesn't need to be acceptable, but following that procedure adds strength to it. So when you are telling somebody that I gave this goat, my goat, this leaf, and they started giving back to 4 instead of 1, the person was saying, what, beyond your own observation alone, what is the additional evidence to support your claim? That is the strength in publishing it, and then it has that credibility to it. So you want to consider that. You may not have that expertise perhaps to do it, but there is Department of Fisheries, or somewhere that can support you, and you can collaborate. And that's what I want to chime in your question. And the question about obsolete equipment, the question is, even that obsolete equipment, how well do you know how to use it? Okay, can we start from there? Today, when you hear about me, it's as if all I've done in my life is genomics. No. As I said, I'm a biochemist. I'm actually better at using UV visible spectrophotometer than all of this high fidelity equipment. My first UV visible spectrophotometer that I was using was bought by my department from Finland around 2002. Okay, I was 300 level, 400 level, and I sat down for that equipment for months. And today, I'm still more comfortable in doing spectrophotometric assay than all of these other things that we don't see until the end of the thing, and you sequence and you don't know whether it works or not. Okay, but as you're doing spec, you are adding the thing, you are seeing color. In fact, I was so good at the point that without putting it in the machine, I already have an idea of the absorbance. So you need to be good at that thing that you call obsolete. Because what that does for potential mentor, particularly at postgraduate level, I mean, because if you come to me to engage as a PhD student, I know you have not done PCR, perhaps, but what have you done that you really got very well? Now, if you have not done sequencing, but I'm asking questions about spectrophotometer, and I say, what is Bialabat's law? And how does it relate? Because at the end of the day, actually, sequencing also relies on principles of that spectrophotometer.
Yeah, Prof, I think we have come a long way. There's a lot for you to take home, okay? It doesn't matter how sophisticated the equipment is. Understand what you want to do. Understand the tool you want to use. I don't want to go start talking about the equipment now, but Prof has hinted on it. The idea of support, funding, policy, I've mentioned it. Let's go from the answer to the question. He has the water from his well or borehole that is smelling, and he wants somebody to do some research to find out the cause and the solution. And he throws it at the university. I go to Innovate, I say, look, I have this problem. Can I be a chemist or one of their labs or so handle it? And then they take it up. They can charge me. I pay. And if it's something that happens, what I do, or what I want to know more, I can build a lab, like somebody said, for the university. I said, look, this analytical lab or this is for this purpose. Each time I bring what my problem, use this place. So you can get funding from different ways. Overseas, the same thing. Factories, industries, private organizations support research. But it's for the university or the research organization to organize itself well to deliver good results. If we have to depend on government, it takes a long time. And what we have always advocated is that the government should work with the private sector for the spectrum from education to research to innovation to industry. If we do that, gradually we solve some of or most of our problems. Don't go for the one that will give you a Nobel Award. Go for the one that will give you FESAPA Award. Local. Let's localize our education. Let's localize our research. When we are comfortable, then we start moving upwards and outwards. So you young brains and young smart guys, we expect much from you. So don't be discouraged. Work hard. And the elder ones can always point and say, oh, come to this ministry or go here and get money. But your best bet is that your research that can turn into useful products for our country people to use. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not the one that will end up on the shelf. So let's change. That too should change. In conclusion, I'm a BOT chairman, trustee of this association. What we are doing today is what I have always advocated in the last 50 years. But when people are more talkative and all that, we say, okay, and do your own, let's see, in 5-10 years, where you get to. But each time I do a review, I still find that my ideas are still current. If you hold an idea for 50 years without change, something is there. We are trying to start that change. And
span in our own little way is trying to spark something. Next year, by the grace of God, the academia will be brought in. The research organizations will be brought in. Government establishments will be brought in so that we can think and work for the benefit of our country. Many a time it looks shameful. We import toothpick, we import this, we import this. There are many things our people can do. We can do locally. If you have AS, for example, there are professors of chemistry that can produce the the standards. Here, start it. We don't expect it to be perfect first time. I talked to NAFDAC and the SON leadership. Their job is not to kill ideas. Their job should be to support ideas. If somebody has a good idea, he has not done it very well, we encourage him to do more, not to say, law says, stop it. Okay, so we are going to make it bigger, better, faster, and richer next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone seated here, all our panelists. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for listening. We've come to the